You're
live, Elder.
Okay. All right. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're going to get started. We just want to kind of get a consensus. How many people are on? Is there any way we could find that number, Deacon or Bishop?
1 second. I'll check. I can only see 30 people watching, 30 people live.
Okay.
I can only see 30 people watching, 30 people live.
And I hear feedback. I don't know where's that coming from.
Yeah, that's me. I was looking at the phone.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, Brother Eric. Okay, there you go. G.O.C. Boston, Rawchaa. Sis Danielle, are you on? I see you, sis. Shalom, everyone. Elder Gabar will be on approximately 5 to 10. Okay. Because I spoke to Sis Danielle, she said that people were listening, but until then we sent a message that we're going to come up after Elder Rawchaa, people begin to fall off. So we're going to wait for a little bit to allow people to come back in. Unfortunately, we were expecting for the elder to be done by 3, but it's already 4:21. So it looks, and he's still up and going. So we might as well just get started. Okay. All right. And then Bishop, just give me that number of people when it goes up to like around 50-ish or so.
Okay. I will do.
Okay. Or close to it. We're just gonna wait until some people just come back on, folks, and then we'll get started with today's lesson. And Bishop, just in case, if you have the strong concordance with you, we might need some words.
Okay.
Okay.
I got it on my laptop.
Okay.
Okay, it's up to 43 and counting.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna send a message and. Okay, and then Officer Shawan, he's going to send a message at the men's group chat. And Sister Shirley and Patricia, if you guys have the sisters group chat, you can also let them know that we're live. We'll go back up to like 50 or 60. I know there's a lot of couples. People are coming together in their homes to see us, so. I see more people coming in now. And this is great because this is registering to YouTube.
Yeah, it's in YouTube, but it's unlisted. So, yeah.
Okay, so then people will set up an account on YouTube, their own personal account, and that's how we'll be able to see them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, outstanding. All right. What is that number, Bishop? Now, Bishop.
52.
52.
Well, 59.
Okay. 59. Okay. Okay. So let's get started. Okay. All praise to the Most High. All right. So what we could do is, Bishop Zakwa, you could lead us in a prayer, and then we'll go straight to the lesson.
Okay. All right. We're gonna bow our heads. Haya Asha Haya Bahashem Asha Wakadash. Haya Asha Haya Bahashem Asha Wakadash. Haya Asha Haya Bahashem Asha Wakadash. Heavenly Father, Ahaya, we come before you this moment to give you all the glory and the praises, Father. We thank you, Ahaya, for granting us this opportunity to fellowship, Father. We thank you, Father, for your Son, Yeshua, who you sent to die for our sins. Thank you, Ahaya, for sending your Holy Spirit to comfort us, Father. Father, we thank you for your love and your kindness. We thank you, higher, for your tender mercies, Father. Father, please shine a light upon us this moment, Father. Help us to do your will. Help us to serve you in spirit and in truth, Father. We ask you, Father, to bless all the leaders, bless all the elders, bless all the bishops, bless all the deacons, bless all the officers, Father. Help us all to do your will. In the name of the Son and Shai, we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This is Elder Gabar Yeshua from the Goccnyc Christ Church, New York. Today we're having a lesson, and we're going to be having a quick discussion in regards to today's trying times. Joining me is Deacon Aaron. Deacon Aaron, how I'm coming in?
Sounding clear.
Okay. Okay, all praises. How you holding up with your family?
Pretty well. All praises to the Most High.
Okay, that's a blessing. That's a blessing. Bishop Yeshua in Brooklyn, how we holding up?
Shalom, shalom, everybody. Shalom, Elder. All praises to the Most High. We holding on strong. Thank you, Father.
Okay, no praise to the Most High. So, what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick lesson. This is the first time we actually try this. So, forgive us if there's any kinks. But this is how we're going to be communicating during the lessons going forward until they reopen these churches. And it looks like, they may be reopened around sometimes May. So if that's the case, we may have 3 to 4 more classes before we come together. So it's very important for you to come on and get in touch, in tune with the church, and especially if you're in New York, New Jersey, Boston, Connecticut, and in upstate. Now, we were planning to come on after Elder Rawchaa because we were planning to come in at 3. Usually the rule of thumb is going to be log in at 2 o'clock. You could, and then once you set up, and things of that nature, you could put your stuff on mute. And then if you want to listen to Elder Rawchaa or we haven't get started yet, but it will be best for every Saturday until further notice, just log in at 2:30. So for us to be ready at 3. Now, if we're running late or we haven't get started because the elder's still on and he's about to drop some deep, or important information for the body, then we'll play it by ear because I'm listening to the elder as well. And then we could just, have a group, we could do a group chat or things of that nature to keep people informed and say, okay, we're going to start at 3:15 rather than 3 o'clock. So the rule of thumb every weekend, and I'm going to let the elder know that this is the case, so he could be considerate that, or to know that we start at 3, or he could at least be end by 3. But in today's climate, he may have to be a little long-winded with the video, especially today. I think he's answering questions to anybody who has anything in regards to doctrine that is disagree with. It's like an open floor, open discussion. And as you know, when Elder Rawchaa gets on, thousands of people call in, so that could probably take a while. So we'll play it by ear when it comes to those things, because obviously people want to be informed and things of that nature. But let's just say we do come on and the elder's still on. The elder records it, so you could just find what time that you left off, and then you could just pick it up when we're done, because you don't want to miss out certain announcements or announcement in the local body, and vice versa. You don't want to miss announcement that Elder Rawchaa that is addressing to the national body. So just be in tune. Just lock in every Saturday at 2:30. Keep it on. You could just mute your situation, and you could still nobody once you're on, all we see that you're locked in the YouTube. Your YouTube account, we could see in the chat room that you're on, and you could just stay there, and then you could just go about your business, and then just keep in tune, because we're going to be making an announcement either through the group meet that we have, or any email or text that we use. Just keep informed, hey, we're coming on, and things of that nature. So the rule of thumb is going to be at 3 o'clock. We have to register. You have to come in at 2:30. Give everybody at least a half hour to come in, and things of that nature. And then at 3:30 we start sharp, unless otherwise announced. So we're gonna get started. So we're gonna be doing some announcements. But before I start the service or the lesson, we just make sure that you don't forward this link to anybody. if somebody who is a member of our church did not get the link, please contact to your officer or your deacon in your local area. If you're in Brooklyn, you will contact the deacon or the bishop at the Zakwa. If you are in New Jersey, you will contact Deacon Aaron. And then if you're in New York, contact your local officers, Zachariah, also, Ganon, also with upstate, and also Officer Greg with upstate as well. Ganon with Boston and Connecticut, and Officer Greg upstate. And also, if you're in the Bronx, Michael Jordan, or in Manhattan, Michael Jordan, things that reach out to me, or Deacon Shamar. But Deacon Shamar made an announcement that he would rather for you to first contact your local officer. Okay, and if you don't know who that is, Sister Shayla will make an announcement at the end of the lesson to kind of give you all those details. Okay, all right. So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to the online law class, or the Sabbath class on New York City, New Jersey, Boston, Connecticut, and upstate New York. So we're going to get right through it, right to it. So, okay, I'm going to line up some information, or I'm going to do a PowerPoint on just lining up certain things that is happening the last month or so in regards to this coronavirus. Okay, and to see what's really going on and in the world today, and especially in Babylon, since all of us live in Babylon, and compare to look at the scripture. We're going to focus today specifically on Revelation 13, but before we go there, we're going to first deal with some report that came in down the pipe, and also some solution or some other report that could balance out the concern that people may have. Okay, just food for thought. So, Deacon, if you could just start us the PowerPoint there, and we could start from there, and then we'll be able to get started.
Can you see my screen, Elder?
Yes, sir. Perfectly. Okay, and I can see you as well. I can see also the Bishop as well, and everybody can see us as well. So, all praises. Okay, so today's lesson is going into the first beast, which is Rome, and the second beast, which is America. And we're going to go into, at the end of this presentation, you're going to see what is the point, or what is the purpose why I'm going this route. But let's just deal with some facts, dealing with statistics and dealing with the reality. So let's go into the next slide, if you don't mind, Deacon. Okay, Deacon, if you don't mind, you can read that, and we're gonna and I'll comment, and then once we're done, we can just continue going to the next slide. Go ahead, Deacon. The floor is yours.
Sure. Who official? We may have to enter homes and remove family members.
And excuse me, Deacon, the word "who" is actually an acronym for the World Health Organization.
Con.
Okay, go ahead.
World Health Organization. We may have to enter homes and remove family members. World Health Organization official warns it may enter your home and take a family member over coronavirus.
Okay, next slide. Okay, this is actually a continuation. This is actually Tucker Carlson. He was a Fox News reporter, so this is mainstream news. This is not conspiracy site. So let's read.
Carson says, in response to the spread of coronavirus, authorities may have to enter people's homes and remove family members, presumably by force. On March 30th, Dr. Michael Ryan, who is an executive director at the WHO, the World Health Organization Health Emergencies Program, said something that I'm not seeing much coverage of. The WHO official said, in most parts of the world, due to lockdown, most of the transmission that's actually happening in many countries now is happening in the household, at family level. In some senses, transmission has been taken off the streets and pushed back into family units. Now we need to go and look in families and find those people who may be sick and remove them and isolate them in a safe and dignified manner. Carson hits back saying, just so you know, we're coming to your house, seizing your children and isolating them in a safe and dignified manner. I can imagine this going down well with most people. I can't imagine this going down well with most people, especially Americans and the Second Amendment.
Okay, so let's go to the next slide. And as a matter of fact, Deacon, with that, you can send the link. You just put the link. Matter of fact, I have it right here, and I'm going to put it on the people for that. They could actually see the video when they get the chance.
Okay.
And then we could do it that way. And then, all right. So the link is there. I just sent it to the people, and then they could see on their own. It's a very, I think, a 45-second video. Okay. So let's go to the next slide. Okay. So real quick, this is basically the numbers that I got from this morning. And I want you guys to look at the picture real quickly, okay? Because for you to actually look at things from perspective, and because right now that picture looks bad, right? When you look at the numbers, okay. So on top, on the left-hand side, or my right, your left, on top has the world count. You have, I believe we have here. Let me see something. Okay, I believe we have here 724,736 people have been confirmed. Over 300,000, almost 400,000, 390,000 plus people have recovered, and 938 people have died worldwide from the coronavirus. And at the bottom, you see the United States number. Okay, we got over 500,000 have been confirmed, about 29,000 plus have been recovered, and 19,602 people have died in the United States from the coronavirus. Okay, now I want you guys to look at something real quick. The picture there, you get it from the World Organization. They set up a COVID-19 map that you could actually get very easy and up to date, and it updated every half hour or every hour. You'll see it every time it gets updated, it automatically gets updated. So this is a global map. Now the lighter you see, that's where you got the least infection and the least death. If you go on the actual website, you could put your mouse over each country, or and then it will something will pop up to let you know how many people have died and caught the coronavirus in that country. So the darker the blue is, it's from light blue to dark blue. That's where it's been most hit the most. So you see America, you see Canada, you see Europe, and things of that nature. So I want you guys to keep this in mind, because I'm going to come back. I'm going to comment on this video real quickly. Okay. So let's go to the next slide.
And Elder, if I may add, the recovery rate in the United States is about 6%, is well below the recovery rate of the rest of the world, which is about 22%.
Exactly. And we're going to go into that, why that is. But we're going to go back to this map, because what you hear down the pipe is that this is affecting Black people in a more alarming rate, right? Mm-hmm. But we're going to go back to that, right? Well, let's address it now. Like Deacon Aaron and Bishop, if you want to comment, you could comment as well, okay? When like Deacon just said that the percentage of recovery is much lower in America than anywhere else. Correct, Deacon?
Con.
So why that is, and it's affecting Black people or people of color in a higher rate than people of, other races. Now, but when you look at the coronavirus map, this is their sources, you notice Africa and South America, it's not really that dark. If you look at it, it's been hitting America, it's been hitting Canada, Europe, okay? You got Australia got hit a little bit. Now, in South America, you got a little darker colors in the chilling area and things of that nature. The southwest or southwest region of the South America and things of that nature. Now, there are Europeans, a lot of Europeans that live in South America. So what is special about the Black people that are dying in a higher rate in America? But it looks, according to their numbers and their stacks, it's not really hitting Black people and people of color outside America. You guys notice that?
Con,
we did.
So is it possible that it has nothing to do with your skin color, but it has to do everything with poverty or lack of resources? So when you have a people that are in Africa, they're breathing fresh air, eating fresh fruits. They may be poor, some of them, because believe it or not, there's a lot of millionaires in Africa. There's a lot of billionaires in Africa. Okay. However, though, in certain areas, it's still third world country. So what is the difference between Nigerians, Igbo, Lamba, all those brothers that are scattered, they are Israelites? What's the difference between those Israelites in Africa or the Israelites that are in, for instance, like South America, the tribe of Manasseh, Ephraim, the tribe of Reuben? All these tribes are not really getting hit in their country. They're getting hit in our country. Could it be the food? Could it be poverty in the sense of eating bad things in America? Because I was born here, but I was raised a short portion of my life in the Dominican Republic. And when I was a kid, food was never a problem. There was mango trees. There was people always were cooking. People always had the little farm, the little chicken, and they cut the neck and put in everything organic. Could it be it's not had to do with your skin color, but it had to do with your environment? So we're gonna go into that. Okay, so Deacon, next slide. Okay, so this is actually a historical, and this is not all the coronavirus, or I'm sorry, all the historical flu, okay, pandemic, but this is the biggest one. Okay, now let's go into this history right now. You just read the annual flu deaths among adults and children. We could start there.
The annual flu deaths amongst adults and children. How to protect yourself and your family. Deaths in flu pandemics. There have been several known flu pandemics throughout history. Some were more widespread in certain geographic areas, but the impact of a pandemic is usually felt, at least to some degree, worldwide. In 1889, the Russian flu pandemic, about 1 million flu deaths.
So one in history, 1 million people have died over the flu. 1 million. And it was called the Russian flu. Okay? And nothing got shut down. This is going back to 89. Read.
1918, Spanish flu pandemic. Over 40 to 50 million flu deaths, including...
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Including about 675,000 in the United States. So
in the United States, with the Spanish flu, over 675,000 people died in the United States. For overall, in the entire world, over 40 or 50 million people died. Now let's go to the Asian flu.
1957 Asian flu pandemic. Over 1 million flu deaths, including about 69 and 800,000 in the United States. In 1968, Hong Kong flu pandemic. About 1 to 3 million flu deaths. 2009 H1N1 flu pandemic.
You heard of H1N1, right? We heard about that. That was, we heard that. So we have the Hong Kong, 3 million people died. The N1, H1, the H1N1. Okay. What about the Ebola? Do we have the Ebola here? Okay, I'll get that next time. Let's continue reading.
The H1N1 flu pandemic. Between 8,870 and 18,300 deaths in the United States, and up to 203,000 deaths worldwide, specifically from H1N1.
So this actually flu, everyone in here actually went through this flu. This is 2009. This is when the church was first getting started. Remember, you were watching Elder Rawchaa. A lot of you guys were coming in and watching and things of that nature. We all remember the H1N1 flu. You notice they didn't do a worldwide global. And if you look at the H1A1, go back to the previous slide when we see the stacks. There you go. Okay, so right now the stacks in the United States, we are 19,600. So we add 1,000 more than we were in the H1N1, right? Let's go back to the previous one. Okay, but I want you guys to see something, because we are looking at this, right? The H1N1. Those are ones we could maybe remember. Those that are a little older could maybe we remember the Hong Kong flu, but also you got other like Ebola and things of that nature. And Bishop Yetazakwa, if you could give me the stacks on how many people died in the Ebola, and also in the United States, and also in the world. If you could get that data for me, I appreciate it. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, now this one was higher than the H1 virus, the H1N1 virus. This particular virus happened, or this, I don't know if they even called it a flu. This could have been the Ebola. I mean, the corona, not the Ebola. But find out what year this happened. But in 2000, let me reframe. When you go into the stacks of when people die out of the corona, out of the flu, they always put 2017, 2018, or 2018, 2019, or 2019, 2020, because the flu season starts at 1 year and it ends at the next year. So the flu season starts around, I would say, fall, and it ends around spring. So it kind of takes both years, the end of 1 year and the beginning of the next year. Okay, so they always use those stacks. So let's look at this estimation done. This article we're about to read is from the CDC website. And this article was written December 13, 2017. Okay, so let's read.
The seasonal flu death estimate increases worldwide. According to new estimates published today, between 291,000 and 646,000 people worldwide die from seasonal influenza-related respiratory illnesses each year, higher than a previous estimate of 250,000 to 500,000, and based on a robust multinational survey. The new estimate from a collaborative study by CDC and Global Health Partners appears today in the Lancat. The estimate excludes deaths during pandemics. These findings remind us of the seriousness of flu and that flu prevention should really be a global priority, says Joe Breezy, MD, Associate Director for Global Health in CDC's Influenza Division, in a study co-author. The new estimates use more recent data taken from a larger and more diverse group of countries than previous estimates. 47 countries contributed to this effort.
Okay,
Researchers.
you can stop there, Deacon, if you don't mind, because you guys could read this on your own, and the actual link is in the. And you could just put national flu death estimate increase worldwide 2017 report, and it will come up. Okay, and their own website. So this is nobody. I don't know, Deacon. You probably heard, or Bishop, a report. A national shutdown, 4 years ago or 3 years ago, when the CDC made this report that there may be over between 291,000 to 646,000 people may die that year. Okay, and they had to increase the estimate from 250 to 500. Which was the previous, or from 250 to 500,000, which was the very estimation. And we're shutting the country down over 9,000, right? 19,000 deaths. Okay, to show you the stacks. Okay, let's go to the next slide, Deacon. Let's keep reading.
The poorest nations, older adults hit hardest by the flu. Researchers calculated region-specific estimates and age-specific mortality estimates for younger.
Excuse me, Deacon. Now you notice they were saying the same lingo 3 years ago, that the poorest people and also the oldest people are in the highest risk of getting the flu. This is a common knowledge. So this is not nothing new. It's attacking older people, or it's attacking people with pre-existing condition. This is always was a universal fact and knowledge that all doctors, all medical physicians knew that people that have pre-existing condition are in risk of dying not only from the flu, but from the common cold, from an pneumonia, from you name it. You get, you have a common or pre-consistent conditions and things that nature, and you go up playing basketball, you go hit the hoop, you break your leg, and you got to go to the hospital. That thing could maybe kill you, because now your body is fighting. Your immune system is already low. Okay, because you're not eating the best food. You're probably not taking care of yourself. You're probably stressed out because you're living from paycheck to paycheck. Our people, by environment alone, our conditions and our immune system is always in a fight. So of course, when these flu go around, and you got families that are not eating the dietary laws, you got families that are not, they're constantly eating fried food in McDonald's and Burger King and these fast food stores. These are the families that are at risk, and they could be perfectly healthy according to their standard. Because today's normal was yesterday unnormal. Okay, continue reading, Deacon. And I want to show you something, right? Let's read.
For people younger than 65 years, people 65 to 74 years, and people 75 years and older, the greatest flu mortality burden was seen in the world's poorest regions and among older adults. People aged 75 years and older and people living in sub-Saharan African countries experienced the highest rates of flu-associated respiratory deaths.
And that's why you have to be very careful with these reports, because wait a minute. Because every time I hear these type of reports, they always go back to Africa, and they're dying and they poor and they, things of that nature, always associating Africa with poverty. But wait a minute. Go back to the previous stacks, Deacon. Why is Africa the lightest? Not one of the lightest, it's the lightest getting hit from the coronavirus. Now, they may change the numbers later on because we're going to get into that as well. But obviously, flu, and this is also a common understanding, don't really survive in hot climate. If you're like around 80 degrees or higher, you're safe from the, it'll be very difficult because it kills it instantly. So, but the literature always make it seem like that's the case. Now, if you are a Black or Hispanic man in America, and you hear the report that Black people and Hispanic people, people of color, die in a higher rate than people of other races in America, they don't associate that with the environment. They associate that with their skin color or some form of gene that Black people have, that white people or other races don't have. It's a lie. It's our condition. It's stress. They misdiagnose all of us with diabetes. Okay, if any Black man or Black woman going to the hospital, they're gonna you're gonna walk out of there with either diabetes prescription or heart pressure prescription. So if you're already taking these drugs, and 9 times out of 10 they are misdiagnosing you, you're already now your immune system, and you're taking this medication is what is attacking your immune system. And they never address your diet, exercise, sleep, and also fellowship. There have been studies, and I'm going to go into that maybe in the future, another lesson, that what they're doing is, and this is Dr. Fauci. I want to also send you his link. This is, he's actually live now, but when you guys could get a chance, you guys could go. Okay, Dr. Fauci, he's a PhD. This guy was a genius. He's actually was credited for actually in the age of 14 for inventing the email. He actually has the pattern to prove that he invented, but they took it away from him. And at that time, there was a new technology. I think in '83, when he was around 14, that you could not get patented or get copyright of a software. That came much later because it was a new industry, if you will. So he took them to court, and he actually won the case. You can look up his history. But Dr. Shiva is his name. Now he has a petition that he's sending to the president of 45,000 people and physicians, demanding for Dr. Fauci, whatever his name is, the Donald Trump head doctor. Okay, and we're gonna show him later to get fired because he's misleading people, and he's having the approach of one size fits all type of situation. So when you get a chance, guys, go see Dr. Shiva. He has a YouTube channel, and he's actually running for office. And so, he's on YouTube a lot because he's spreading his word, not only for his campaign, but it's also for more important, what he's been doing for a long time in regards to fighting this global fascism, if you will, of the pharmaceutical just taking over the world and diagnosing 7 billion people with giving this magic pill called vaccine that's going to fix all problems, like Bill Gates is teaching or showing or lying about. Okay, so let's continue to go to the next slide, Deacon, if you don't mind. Okay, so they're always attacking Africa, but for some odd reason, the only Africans that are dying are the African Americans. It's because we don't got fresh food. It's because we don't have farms. It's because we're buying from these supermarkets that are feeding us garbage. Let's talk about it. So let's go to the next slide. Okay. This is another website. It's called Champion Traveler. It is basically, I wanted to bring this out because it's in, and this report was actually in 2018, 2 years ago, to kind of show you what was what is the overall thought on in regards of the flu and things of that nature. Now, this is a actually traveling website. The best time to travel. It kind of gives you tips. So if you are traveling, this is probably a good website to research, and because it gives you different countries. It talks about the best time to go, the best time not to go, the political climate, in regard to your safety, what place to avoid, and what things. There's a good little website to have if you're going on vacation or things of that nature, right? So let's read this website, if you don't mind, Deacon.
Champion Traveler. The U.S. flu season is bad this year, but influenza is much more deadly around the world. The CDC is reporting that the 2018 flu virus has been one of the worst in recent memory around the United States.
Now, we're going to go into the actual number, because in 2018, 2017-18, but that flu season was the worst in 40 years. And we're going to go into that number. How many people died that year, 2017, 2018, the flu season? Go ahead, Deacon.
Influenza activity is still on the rise overall, CDC's acting director, Dr. Ann Schuchat, said. There have been spikes in deaths from this year's flu, and due to the nature of the specific strain that is spreading, the flu vaccine hasn't been as effective.
And this is from their website. So this is not. So when we say the flu shot doesn't work, they've all been saying that we're still working on it, but this is the best flu vaccine that we have thus far. It's not perfect, but it's the best. Okay, so let's continue reading.
This equates to more hospitalizations and deaths around the world. According to flu experts, this year's vaccine hasn't been as effective against this particular strain of the flu virus. While the news has been focused on how severe the flu has been in the United States, how deadly is the flu around the globe?
I'm sorry to interrupt, Deacon. So if you are a vaccine company and you make millions and even billions of dollars every year for government, city, states buying from your company vaccine, it will be a thing that is very profitable for you. Okay, and I think the sun is going down, so the shade, I want change it a little bit. It will be more profitable to you if new strain comes up. Why? Because if every year, let's say you got 10 strains of the virus, because you got, that's what they name it, the Corona, N1, H1N1, Ebola, they're all the same flu, but there's different strain of it. So what do you think you're going to make more money? If there's only 5 strain or 1 strain, or there's 10 or 20 or 30 different strain that you have to bring forth a different vaccine. So if the H1N1 flu virus comes back, they have a vaccine for that. If the Corona comes back, they have to get a vaccine for that. If the Spanish flu come back, or whatever strain that you may hear, SARS and all these other names they give it, it's all the same thing. It's just different strains. Some are stronger than the other. So therefore, if some are stronger than the other, what's going to depend whether you're dying or not is whether your immune system is strong. And let's dispel this mystery or this propaganda that if you are older, over 50, 60, even 70, your immune system will be automatically weak. No, you could be that age, but if you eat right, if you do exercise, if you sleep, if you have friends and family, because they have shown that if you have contact with people and you're surrounded the people that love you, you live longer. That's why you got people in third world countries they smoking cigarettes every day, but they're going up to like living to 100, years old, 90 years old. And not to say that smoking it could kill you, because it does. However, though, if you eat organic, if you eat, you're breathing fresh air, and you're getting that vitamin C, that D vitamin from the sun every day, because people of color in Western worlds like America and Europe and things of that nature, Canada, then don't get enough vitamin B12. Vitamin B12. So make sure that you get that from the sun. Not vitamin D. I think you get that vitamin B12. You get that from mostly protein and also fish and things of that nature. But vitamin D, correct, Deacon? I don't want to.
Vitamin D from the sun.
Right. Vitamin D is from the sun, right? So and especially when you are like times like this, you should go out 15 minutes a day and take a quick walk and get enough sun, because if you cooped up all day, you're getting less sun. So let's look at the psychological thing here. Being under the sun actually strengthens your immune system. But they're telling everybody this may last all through May. We got to see. So people are home, cooped up, and there've been studies show, like Dr. Shiva has I showed the link. He talks about that there was a report in 1984 that shows that people that are isolated will develop illnesses, that people that are not isolated, they are surrounded by family and friends, live usually longer. I think the report was called, loneliness could kill you, something like that. Just look it up. Study shows loneliness can kill you, or bring you, increase diseases and things of that nature. So you're not getting the sun. You're getting cooped up in your home. You're getting cabin fever. Okay, is the recipe for disaster. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. And I think it also talks about go down to, some countries are riskier than others.
While some countries are riskier than others when it comes to travel during flu season, the biggest fear of most travelers right now is being in public places like airports or stuck on an airplane with someone infected with the virus.
So remember when this thing first came out, that you have airports or planes shut down, people locked in the airport? That was actually the wrong thing to do. Because if you have one guy with the virus, okay, and you're locking everybody in that airport for hours, and sometimes I was hearing report days, that virus is going through the whole airport. So what you're doing is you're sending everybody, home, and then you're worrying about one passenger, but that one passenger was spreading the virus all through the airport or the ships and things of that nature. So what the government was doing, it was what is understood not to do in a situation like this. Okay, go ahead, dig in.
According to our readers, the flu has directly affected some of their travel plans this year already, with many opting to avoid major travel hubs like airports in order to hopefully minimize their risk. Some have commented to us that they will continue on boldly with their travel plans, unfazed by the virus.
Okay, so this is basically a website dealing with traveling, and specifically it addresses the flu virus and what to look out for. Okay, you should not travel sometimes during the flu season, but sometimes during the flu season, like the winter, is when the flights are cheaper, and sometimes people want to get out the city when it's cold and maybe go to Puerto Rico or go to Dominican Republic or to Mexico when it's warmer to get some sun. So it's sometimes when you look at the logic, they're actually teaching you, or they actually report out of the fear, of you catching this coronavirus or this invisible boogeyman, for you to get out of your homes and stay put. When things like this and going around, you should always protect yourself. That's a common thing when people are coughing, things of that nature. It's when during the flu season, the wisdom should tell you is for you to go to a country where the temperature is 80 degrees or above. Why? Because viruses don't survive under heat. That's why I've been thinking for a long time, when my wife, especially with her MS condition, that during the winter, you know, my grandmother passed away and she gave us a house and has been there sitting forever. We got to go over there and DR and fix it. Then I might send my wife, or I might go with her and come back and forth during the summer, during the winter time when it's cold in New York. Because these winters are very cold. So I noticed that my wife actually feels better when she's under the sun. Okay? And the funny thing is, when we first started with this MS thing, or this thing came on into our lives, see, the elder's still on, okay. They recommended her not to go under the sun because too much sun for MS patient is too, it's not, healthy. That's the exact opposite of what she should be doing. She should be going in the sun, get some fresh air, walk, get some exercise. Because with MS, you have to strengthen your body and your immune system. And what better way to strengthen your immune system but through the sun and healthy eating and also exercise. Okay, so let's continue. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, this is actually from their own travel website. You see in the bottom, Champion Traveler. This is their own. So basically, the darker colors are the most areas you should avoid to go during the flu season. But you look at that America, and the actual chart is the one that is dark. Europe. You guys see that? So let me get this straight. They're recommending for you to go, or like basically what they look at here is that these are the darker charts are when you are in a higher risk country. The lighter are when you are in the less risk country. So let me get this straight. You mean to tell me that the best place to be at during the flu season is America and Russia? One of the coldest climate, one of the cold area during the time of the flu season? What do you really go to South America, Brazil, Africa, South Africa, next to the beach, next, fresh air. So you have to be very careful when these websites, if they're feeding you information, because they always make it seem like Black people have this weird illness, this book, the cooties. But the opposite is true. This coronavirus is actually attacking European, according to the stats that they're bringing out, in regards of countries. But the reason why it's hitting Black people in a much alarming rate is because most Black Americans, I think 1 out of 2 or 1 out of 3, a very high number, is either high blood pressure or diabetes, pre-existing conditions. Okay, so you have to be very careful with these websites because they always demonize the people of color, and especially, Africa, in these regions, right? So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so obviously I put this slide again to show people that this is the opposite in what they show in the traveling guide website. Okay, the actual coronavirus has hit mostly European countries. That's not what I'm saying. That's what their stats are showing. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so remember when I said that 2018 was the hardest hitting virus year? Okay, I think, let me see if we read this already. Let's hit that number. Let's get that number. Let's read this real quick. See if it brings out information that I need to bring out. Right, this is new estimation. This is basically the same thing you read before in another website. So you could skip that.
Okay.
Okay, you could go into Let me see. You could start at the paragraph right before the yellow, that the poorest regions.
Yep.
Yeah.
So results showed that the poorest regions in older adults carried the greatest flu mortality burden, with people aged 75 and older and those living in sub-Saharan Africa having the highest rates of flu-linked respiratory deaths. Deaths were high but slightly lower in Eastern Mediterranean and Southeast Asian countries. The researchers concluded that their work could help guide countries that want to introduce or expand flu vaccination programs and could be used to help win more support from global health groups looking to increase access to the vaccines in low and middle income countries.
And this is from the University of Minnesota. Driving to disease to discover what I can't see that because it's kind of small. I don't think you guys can see it, Deacon.
University of Minnesota.
Minnesota. Okay. Okay. So when you look at all the literature, they always poorest country, Africa is always the hardest hitting. But wait a minute, what? I guess Corona forgot about Africa this time around.
Right.
Because they're always pushing these vaccines. Let's hope these poor black people. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this is basically a stack. So remember, the stack is basically showing from 2010, 2011. You know that they always put 2 years because the flu season starts at 1 year and it ends in the next year. So in 2000, and Deacon, if you could just you give me the stacks real quick and just give me the deaths, so you guys could see this on your own. The CVC. On the light brown or beige looking color is the deaths. The what is that, like a purple? I'm colorblind here. What is that? Burgundy.
That's like
burgundy?
a maroon color for
Maroon
hospitalizations.
They got hospitalized, and then the light gray is like who those who got sick, the illnesses, right? Mm-hmm. So let's go into the deaths of between from 2011 forward, if you don't mind.
So 2011, it was 37,000 deaths. From 2010 to 2011. From 2011 to 2012, it dropped down to 12,000 deaths. Then 2012 to 2013, it spiked up to 43,000. It reduced to 38,000 from 2013 to 2014. And then 2014 to 2015, it increased slightly to 51,000. It dropped more than half in 2015 to 2016 from the previous year to 23,000, then increased to 38,000 in 2016 to 2017. And then from 2017 to 2018, it nearly doubled to 61,000 deaths.
61,000 deaths. Now, this is only dealing with the stacks of the United States of America. Read the title on top, Deacon, if you don't mind.
Estimated U.S. influenza burden by season, 2010 to 2019.
So this is the United States stacks. This is not a global. So in 2017, 2018 flu season, over 61,000 people died in America alone. That's why it says it was the hardest hitting within 40 years. America got hit. No business shut down. There was no, pandemic. You didn't hear 24 hours of news coverage on this. You didn't hear, everything was shutting down. You can't, have religious organizations celebrate their religious feast days and things of that nature. You probably saw an article or two about the matter. So think about 61,000, and we're shutting the United States of America are now 19,000 and counting. It may end up to maybe 30,000 when it's all said and done. And especially if they're ripping up these numbers, like we're going to get into that in a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this is basically a it's basically a synopsis of all the charts. It's just basically showing you when you combine all the numbers, this is what, you know, we talk about up to from 9 million to 49 million when you combine all the numbers of people getting sick between the year 2011 to all the way to 2018, or 2010 to 2018. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Matter of fact, let's read that. Go back to the caption, the burden of influential diseases in the United States.
Okay, so this is the estimated range of annual burden of flu in the United States. The burden of influenza disease in the United States can vary widely and is determined by a number of factors, including the characteristics of circulating viruses, the timing of the season, how well the vaccine is working to protect against illness, and how many people got vaccinated. While the impact of flu varies, it places a substantial burden on the health of people in the United States each year. CDC estimates that influenza has resulted in between 9 million to 45 million illnesses, between 140,000 and 810,000 hospitalizations, and between 12,000 and 61,000 deaths annually since 2010.
So what's going on here? Why is this not a moment of silence for those 61,000 people that died in 2018? Why there's not, you know, a 9/11 memorial for all those people type of situation? Why there's, you know, not a people? I didn't know that until all this thing came out. I had to do some research, and I stumbled into this, and I started hitting report. Wait a minute, because I was like, you know, the numbers getting kind of high, and if you don't know the science behind it, the history of, you know, flu and things of that nature, you think, wow, it is an epidemic, but it's not. It's a lot. This is one of the most greatest propaganda things or events that has happened in my lifetime. I think this is the greatest propaganda because it's global. I don't know how they put this thing off, but I think, you know, I'm going to bring some scripture to kind of maybe show what's really going on here. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, another report. I'm using main sources. I'm not using any conspiracy sites. Their own sites. You could get this on the CBC dealing with a report that they have sent to every doctor and what they got to do going forward. So let's read it.
So this is from the National Vital Statistics System, COVID-19 alert number 2, March 24th, 2020. New ICD. You could get
this from their own website. Excuse me, Deacon. You can get this. This is not, and we'll send you the link and things of that nature. Go ahead, Deacon. I'm sorry.
New ICD code introduced for COVID-19 deaths. This email is to alert you that a newly introduced ICD code has been implemented to accurately capture mortality data for coronavirus disease 2019 on death certificates. Please read
now more accurate, right? More accurate. This is the purpose of this letter, this memo that went out to all medical physicians, hospital doctors, you know, government workers and things of that nature, to more accurately count the deaths of the coronavirus, right? Go to the next slide. You guys could read this on your own, but I want to get straight to the meat and potatoes. Go to start at start at the question on top.
When will it be implemented? Immediately. Will COVID-19 be the underlying cause? The underlying cause depends upon what and where conditions are reported on the death certificate. However, the rules for coding and selection of the underlying cause of death are expected to result in COVID-19 being the underlying cause more often than not. What happens if certifiers report terms other than the suggested terms? If a death certificate reports coronavirus without identifying a specific strain, or explicitly specifying that it is not COVID-19, NCHS will ask the states to follow up to verify whether or not the coronavirus was COVID-19. As long as the phrase used indicates the 2019 coronavirus strain, NCHS expects to assign the new code. However, it is preferable and more straightforward for certifiers to use the standard terminology COVID-19.
Okay, so start as what happens if the second to last question.
What happens if the term reported on the death certificate indicate uncertainty? If the death
let's just say somebody dies and we don't know why they died. And there's a lot of reports every year that people die, cause of death. You know, when you hear stuff like natural causes, or when you hear stuff like, age or what have you, it's because the person just died out of natural causes. They can't really determine what it is, right? So let's just say there's somebody that has pre-consistent, we're going to go into it because it's kind of like asking a question and answering the question to kind of, frequently asked questions that doctors may have. So these are the answers the CVC is giving the people. Read the answer if you don't mind, Deacon.
If the death certificate reports terms such as probable COVID-19 or likely COVID-19, these terms would be assigned the new ICD code. It is not likely that NCHS will follow up on these cases. If pending COVID-19 testing is reported on the death certificate, this would be considered a pending record. In this scenario,
I'm just going to interrupt because when somebody dies, there have to be an autopsy to confirm the suspicion on why somebody died. They don't have time for that. So they just say, don't put suspected to be COVID-19, just put COVID-19. Because we don't have time to do these, what do you call that? Autopsy to find out what really was the death, the sign of cause. So if you have the means, if God forbid, somebody of your family passes away during this so-called coronavirus, do not allow them to bury your loved ones without an official autopsy. Because what they're doing, they're just burying the people. And you've seen that in the news. We don't have the way to put the body, we have to bury them. That's right. Look out for your parents and your grandparents. Look out for those people that have pre-consistent conditions like diabetes or high blood pressure. Okay, let's continue.
In this scenario, NCHS would expect to receive an updated record since the code will likely result in R99. In this case, NCHS will ask the states to follow up to verify if test results confirm that the descendant had COVID-19. Do I need to make any changes at the jurisdictional level to accommodate the new ICD code? Not necessarily, but you will want to confirm that your systems and programs do not behave as if U07.1 is an unknown code.
Go to the next slide.
Should COVID-19 be reported on the death certificate only with a confirmed test? COVID-19.
All right, so he said, should we put the cause of death only when we test and the test comes back positive and the person died? Should we only now? Let's get two things. What they're saying is, if they have it and you don't know that was the cause of it, like for instance, you overweight, you're out of shape, you're stressed, you got high blood pressure and diabetes. You check yourself in the hospital because you're stressed. Your heart doesn't feel right. Your diabetes is kicking in. You go to the hospital, they diagnose you. Now, people that are diabetic and high blood pressure, they get flu every so often. And let's say you got the flu. But because of the stress, you catch a heart attack and die. So they already determined if you had the coronavirus or you got tested and you die, we're not gonna do an autopsy. We're not gonna do any more investigation. We're just gonna say coronavirus. But now the question is even worse. What about if we didn't even test for the coronavirus and they died? This is the answer what they're telling us.
COVID-19 should be reported on the death certificate for all descendants where the disease caused or is assumed to have caused or contributed to death. Certifiers should include as much detail as possible based on their knowledge of the case, medical records, laboratory testing, etc. If a decedent had other chronic conditions such as COPD or asthma that may have also contributed, these conditions can be reported in Part 2. See attached guidance for certifying COVID-19 deaths.
So what they're saying is you put coronavirus and then you could do another report if you think it's something else, or it could have been something else. But because they're burying these bodies, you cannot get a definite answer because the body's already buried.
All right.
So you see the trick, the psychological game they're playing on our people. Just put everybody, gunshot wound, everybody. You come in with diarrhea, coronavirus. You got shot, coronavirus shot you. You got your leg got broken. The coronavirus, broke your leg. Car accident, that was the coronavirus. So now you can see these numbers going up, right? So that's why I put Job 13:4. It says, but ye are physician of lies, ye are foreigners of lies, foreigners of lies, and ye are physicians of no value, right? Job 13:4, right? Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so these are the characters, these are the organization that this is in the middle. You got the doctor, Donald Trump's doctor, who has been in that position for over, I think, 40 years or 30 years, since the 80s. This is the guy that it's been reported that he misdiagnosed and got wrong that HIV causes AIDS. It's been proven that that's not true. He was the guy. And this is well recorded. And the HIV, meaning when you have a low immune system, it doesn't mean that you're going to get HIV. So what they were doing back in the 80s, anybody that had a low immune system, because you partying, you hanging out, and you taking drugs, it was a drug epidemic. It was, Studio 54 era, when everybody was having sex unprotected.
Right.
When people were running around getting drunk and hiding and all kinds of, debauchery. And then and within the gay community, okay, what they were doing is they were attacking that because they were a perfect, I would say, guinea pigs because of their lifestyle to diagnose everyone within that community with HIV and then give them the medicine which causes AIDS. And then they began into Africa. So all this is going on in things of that nature because most people in America have a low immune system because of their environment and condition. And that's why, our grandparents and our grand-grandparents never had to hit the gym and think about what they're gonna eat because they were farmers. They were eating fresh food, they were breathing fresh air, they were drinking, clean water. And in down south or in, the Jamaica and the Dominican Republic and Haiti and the Caribbeans and all that. Until this day, it's until they start eating American food is when they start beginning to say, you know what, I'm not going to go and kill that chicken. I'm going to go down the block and eat Popeye chicken. That's what happens. So when you Americanize people, when you monetize so-called, because let's think about it. Let's analyze this. If America is the greatest country in the world today, a superpower, Why is it more blacks in America are dying in a higher rate than Africa dealing with this coronavirus? Shouldn't Africa be hit and all the Africans in Africa are dying and all the African Americans, and I'm using this word because this is the political term, we all know we are Israel, but in things that nature in America, or is it the environment, is that Popeye's chicken that's killing them? That, let me get 2 side orders of corn and cob with some, extra 5 chicken with some extra fried this, and let me get a super size me Coca-Cola cherry Coke.
Right.
Let me get extra salt on the French fries. Let me get a mountain of ketchup. Right? Let me get that pork fried rice, chicken fried rice. Is these fast food restaurants that's killing us. So going forward, man, if you're gonna eat Chinese food, make sure you eat a credible Chinese restaurant. But let me also say this: I'm a racist economic racist. I prefer my people. So if you have a Chinese restaurant or a soul food restaurant or a Spanish restaurant, which one you think I'm going to choose? Soul food or Spanish? Because nothing against Chinese people. They are our family. We all sons and daughters of Adam and Eve. However, I understand the political cause and effect if I'm choosing somebody outside my race in today's political climate. So I'd rather that soul food restaurant survive, because I'm pretty sure if I go to that brother or sister that owns that restaurant or that family, I'm pretty sure they're struggling with business. Because according to the scripture, it says, "Cursed be your baskets and your stores," in Deuteronomy 28. But I know those Chinese people they're all crimped out in that studio apartment. Their children are going to college. Their children are not going to be in those restaurants. They're going to be owning the block. And that's why we have to start looking into, prefer our own. Okay, so these are the characters, right? The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Clinton Foundation, the Ching Zuckerberg Foundation, the World Health Organization, and of course, last but not least, the CDC. Okay, so all these organizations supposed to be nonprofit organization to help the people, and every single one of them got the solution: vaccine. Every problem can be resolved with vaccine now. Never mind vitamin C, vitamin D. Now, those things are no longer part of the discussion. Those things don't work anymore. Clean air, clean water. The only thing that could save us is these vaccines. And these organizations are making money hand and fist. Because there was more strain, more vaccine needs to be had. These people make more money when there is 100 strain of vaccine versus 10 or 5. So you get the drift why there's a new strain every year comes up, because they make more money. But if they start promoting every year vitamin C, make sure you get enough sun, make sure you take care of yourself because the flu season is on, and people get ready, you will not need these vaccines. And because of their own doctrines, their own documents, it's telling us, and they're telling us that the vaccine don't work that well. But this year it didn't work. We'll keep trying, because even the most hardcore believer of the vaccine will admit that they don't always work, but it's the best what we have thus far. So you're gonna say, okay, you're gonna dismiss, and let me backtrack. Let's just say you're a vaccine believer, and your attitude is, this is not a magic pill, but it's the best that we have. Why don't also throw in there exercise, sleeping, eating your vitamin, drinking your water, and not, stop smoking, stop taking drugs, stop eating fast food. Why is that also that is not part of the equation? Because that will probably bring the number so low, there will be really no need for this epidemic. So they know, and the reason why the numbers have been going steadily up every year, because every year Americans get more out of shape and unhealthy every year. So more out of shape people, more death in the flu season. It's just simply math. It's just your conditions, right? So these are the characters that you have to watch out for. Okay, so let's go into the next slide. All right, let's go back to the next slide, the previous slide. And Deacon, if you could let's go into how honest is these reports. And then we're gonna go with Ben, and after that we end up with Ben Carter. And then I want you guys to pay attention very closely in what's going on here with these reports. Okay, so we're going to deal first with how honest, and this is from Officer Shawan. He sent me this, so I'm just going to give him a shout out because I'm getting reports, and I felt that everybody should see this because this is this is not reconfirming that these reports they're sending to just blame coronavirus for everything, even when you're not shortened, even when you haven't tested the person even having coronavirus, and since they burying them before the autopsy is being able to perform because there's no time for it. There's no way to prove whether that person was right or wrong. But let's read this. Let's hear this report. Go ahead, Deacon. Deacon, we cannot hear it. I don't know if it's from your end.
It's broadcasting. Can you see it?
I could definitely see it, but I just cannot hear it. I don't know. Before you was able to hear he was able to do it. If not, we could do it, the way we first was looking to do it.
Let me Can you hear it now?
No.
Nope, not yet.
Okay, I'm not sure what happened.
Let me see here. Let me try to see if I could get it. And
while you get out, I'll see if I can do it one more time.
Okay.
I know what I did wrong.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Speaking of Minnesota,
can you hear it now?
And State Senator joins us tonight on the 702 communication line to talk about an interesting piece he put in the Star Tribune recently as well. So I don't know if you like Dr. Jensen, Senator Jensen, but thank you so much for joining us tonight, sir. And let's start with this. You and I communicated briefly yesterday via email, shortly on the phone. Have you yet seen the information that's going into these U of M models that the governor is using to make these decisions?
No, we have not. We have asked for those, and we were told by the governor's office that we would receive the data tonight. And so we're hoping to see what the assumptions are and what the data is. But at this point in time, we have not.
So I just want to be clear for our audience, sir. You've got a governor of a state that is making executive orders, stay-at-home orders that right now is cratering your economy. We don't know what data is being used, and yet you as a state senator, as a doctor, have not seen that data that's being used for our governor to make these decisions.
No, we have not. And
does that not concern you? I mean, shouldn't the people of Minnesota be screaming right now?
Well, I think, Minnesota nice. We want to be good soldiers and that, but I think that people are starting to say, hold it now. We need to have a deeper understanding of this, and we're not getting it. I think that, in Minnesota, as a physician, I received an email last week from the Department of Health coaching me on how to fill out death certificates. And I've never really received coaching from the vital statistics agency in terms of how to do a death certificate. But basically, I felt like they were saying, you know, you don't have to have a confirmed laboratory test for COVID-19 in order to make the death certificate be COVID-19. So
Wait. Sir, I don't mean to interrupt you, but that and what you just said, I think is critically important. Can you repeat what you just said, please?
Well, last Friday, I received a 7-page document that sort of told me that if I had an 86-year-old patient that had pneumonia but was never tested for COVID-19, but sometime after she came down with pneumonia, we learned that she had been exposed to her son who had no symptoms, but later on was identified with COVID-19, that it would be appropriate to diagnose on the death certificate COVID-19. Now, we've not done that. If someone has the pneumonia after and it's in the middle of a flu epidemic, and I don't have a test on influenza, I don't diagnose influenza on the death certificate. I will say this elderly patient died of pneumonia.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but my heart is sinking right now as you're telling me this. You're a doctor. Why in the world would they be sending you out information to fill out death certificates, whether the person's been diagnosed with COVID-19 or not, but then to say in the death certificate, this person's death was caused by COVID-19? That does not sound right to me.
I went to the person in our office who does most of the death certificates over the last 10, 20 years. And I said, does this sound right? I had her look at the documents that I printed off, and she said, well, we've always been told that you always put down just facts. You don't put down any probabilities. You don't put any presumptions down. It's just what you know. And so this is concerning. And it actually gets to your point, Chris. When we start talking about the data that goes into the modeling, we have to ask ourselves a question. Are we being forthright? Are we sharing with the public? Minnesota, North Dakota, we don't need to be having it sugar-coated. We want to know what's going into your modeling.
So with that being said, why would they want to skew the number of deaths due to COVID-19?
Well, fear is a great way to control people. And I worry about that. I worry that sometimes we're so darn interested in just jazzing up the fear factor that, sometimes people's ability to think for themselves is paralyzed if they're frightened enough. And that's not where I want people to be. I want people to say, we're going to get through this. I'm going to use my head. I'm going to go to different sources. I'm going to listen to different sources. And I'm going to think for myself, because that's what America's about.
Senator, if you don't mind, after this interview, if you can send me that 7-page document. And just for clarity, you were sent a 7-page document by who again?
The Department of Health.
Department of Health, saying, hey, fill this out, whether they test positive for COVID. That is stunning, sir. So Governor Walz had his conference call today. One of the things he mentioned is he's going to lay out, it sounds like, some ideas or a plan tomorrow about his statewide stay-at-home order. It was supposed to end on April 10th. He is going to have some changes to that. Do you have any new information regarding that, sir?
I don't, but there's certainly been a big push that we should be using more of a laser-focused approach rather than some sort of a broad scale whack-a-mole kind of a thing. We've got landscapers and lawn preparers, and we've got dock workers and golf courses, and there's no reason to not let those people out there doing their job. And it isn't just about those occupations I mentioned. We're also talking about a tremendously revved up allergy season if we don't do these things. If we just let the weeds and the spring pollens go crazy, we're going to have a lot of kids with hay fever and asthma. And we know that the supply chain of asthmatic inhalers is potentially at risk. So we have to be very thoughtful when we do these things.
Doc, I got 2 more things for you, sir. Since you are a doctor, I think the people at home, because you just mentioned the fear factor, there's a lot of trepidation. There's so much uncertainty right now. As a doctor, as a state senator, and you look out to the horizon, there's a lot of varying information about when you guys are going to sort of get on the other side of this. I'm not asking you to make a certain prediction, but what's your best guess?
Well, I think it's going to be the end of April, but I think when we get there, I think it's going to be manageable. Our hospitals have done a wonderful job of preparing for it. And the fact of the matter is, we're not going to win this battle by kicking the can down the road. At some level, we're going to win this battle by having enough people become immune to it, by getting the disease. And it's a mild disease in 90% of the people. So the idea of minimizing this wave of the pandemic so that the next wave in the fall of the year will be greater. That doesn't necessarily make a ton of sense either.
Yeah, Doc, last question. I got about 60 seconds, sir. We'd love to have you back, but I actually originally brought you on because I thought you had a fascinating piece in the Star Tribune. If we can bring this up, Christy, but it says, hey, more thoughtful lockdown rules could spare loss and suffering. It was really geared towards, look, guys, we've got to obviously put public health first, but also be concerned about our economy. 30 seconds, sir. Why should people go read this piece?
Well, I think what it does is it says, listen, we're not going to have government make arbitrary decisions about what is an essential and a non-essential business. We're talking about measuring what we're trying to do. We're trying to provide some separation. We're trying to provide some social distancing. And if that's the case, we need to look at what's a safe occupation and what's not. So if two people are mowing a lawn on a golf course and they're 30 yards apart, that's not an issue. If we've got lawn people and they're working in solo or two-man crews, this is not an issue. When government goes overboard, we lose our liberties and we may never get them back. So we need to be very careful. We can do it with a more laser precision rather than just whack-a-mole.
Dr. and Minnesota State Senator Scott Jensen, thank you so much for the time. And he said, boy, I think you made some major breaking news today, sir. And if you would, again, please email me that document, okay?
I will do that.
Thank you very much.
Well, there it is. You got senators. This guy's a senator and a doctor. And he's saying, wait a minute, I'm getting a report from the government telling me this is the new guidelines dealing with now illnesses. Now, one thing about that he said is that once they pass new policy, it's hard, and we start losing our liberties. It's hard to get them back. Is this going to be the new trend now? The doctors now are saying, okay, government has to tell me what should I write in my report. And I'm a doctor, and this is my patient. I know this patient for many years. I grew up with this patient. This patient came at me when they were first 9. I've been dealing with them all through this time. I know their illness. I know their background. I know everything about them. But some guy in some corner somewhere in some government office is sending me this memo that I got to now write a report different for what I see. And it was always known. That's why you have certain death certificate, death unknown, uncertified. Why? Because sometimes people just die. The Father calls you home. Okay, so this is America in 2020, and this was going on. So now, and there was another video. Ben Carson. You know what? Let's put that one as well. Okay. And we're gonna go in with scriptures because obviously you guys didn't come in to hear a report. I know you guys been bombarded all week with that, but we're gonna just send the trend going forward. What's going on with these reports? So depending to what the reporter said, and also what Ben Carson is saying.
But we begin tonight with Dr. Ben Carson. Dr. Carson, thank you very much for being here. So, I'm interested to speak with you about this concept of reopening the country because you are a medical doctor, a surgeon, and also the HUD secretary concerned with housing and urban centers in this country. So where do you have to be as wearing both of those hats to look towards a May 1st reopening of the U.S. economy?
Well, they're not incompatible hats. What we have to recognize is that there are benefits and risk in life. And that's why we have these very complex brains. And we can take all kinds of information, integrate it, and come out with a logical solution. It requires looking at data and understanding how to analyze it, looking at what's happened in other countries. So when we see that bell-shaped curve, and we've seen it come down rather steeply in some other countries, when that happens, we haven't seen it go back up. So that's what we're looking for here. That already seems to be starting. Obviously, we don't want to go too early. We'll wait for a couple of weeks and see that it continues down. And then we also need to make sure that we have appropriate testing. We have to be able to test people to see if they have the virus. We have to be able to test people to see if they have the antibodies which will make them much safer in terms of returning to the workforce. And then we have to return them in a logical way. That's the key.
So I want to show you some of the new polling that we have tonight that we just got back that I think sort of gives you a little sense of where the American public is in terms of their confidence levels with all of this at this point. Are you concerned about catching COVID-19? 76% of the country says that they are still concerned about getting it. This is April 4 to April 7. Only 24% are not concerned. Take a look at this next one. 75% of the country is concerned about being able to get tested. And we heard a lot of questions on this tonight. I think this is really one of the sort of anxiety-raising issues that still persists in the country. People want to know whether or not they had it, and they want to be able to have a quick, easy way to find out. And this last one I find very interesting. Do you know someone with coronavirus? Only 21% of the country says yes, they do. 76% says no, they do not. Living here in the New York area, I think everybody knows somebody with this terrible virus. But in the rest of the country, the numbers are much lower, Doctor. Your thoughts on all of that in terms of how they paint the American public right now?
Well, keep in mind that a lot of people who have the virus are completely asymptomatic, somewhere between 25 and 50%. So you probably do know someone who has it. You may have it. Who knows? But, people have been terrified because, we've talked about the bad. One of the things we don't seem to talk about a lot are the number of people who have recovered, which is going to be about 98% of all the people who get it. They're going to do quite well. And we need to really start talking that up and start talking about what we can do, not how we're going to be harnessed. Because the fact of the matter is, if we destroy the economic infrastructure of our country, we're going to lose a lot more people than we lost from this virus. So we can't, operate out of hysteria. When people are hysterical, they don't do logical things.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that more people are concerned about the economy than they are about getting the virus. I thought that was a pretty telling number as well. I want to play this from Governor Cuomo because it speaks to your work as HUD Secretary and some of the communities that you deal with. Let's watch this.
We're going to be doing more testing in African American and Latino communities. With more data, we're going to open new testing sites, primarily in African American and Latino communities.
How concerned are you about the numbers that we're seeing in African American and Latino communities and in the urban centers, especially?
I'm very concerned about it. I was concerned about it a long time before this because of a lot of the health disparities that occur. And in this case, it's particularly concerning because people who live in close proximity and people who cannot shelter at home are people who are more likely to contract the disease. So it will attack anyone. And then when you throw on top of that, a higher incidence of some of the underlying conditions like hypertension and diabetes, obesity and asthma, obviously you're creating a situation that is very undesirable. What people should know is that in the last flu epidemic last year, and the one before that, and the one before that, and the one before that, the same demographics, Blacks and Hispanics, had higher mortality rates because the same things were going on. At least now, I think people are going to pay attention to it. Maybe we can address it.
Yeah. Before I let you go, last question. It's interesting when you look at the numbers. You just mentioned the flu. In 2018-19, 2017-18, it was a very big flu season. We lost in the United States 61,000 people from the flu. Now the models that we're showing is showing a similar number for COVID-19. Why do you think that is? And what's your takeaway from that?
Well, that's a question that I've asked many virologists and epidemiologists, and I get lots of different answers to that. Why has this one gotten so much more attention than other flus? Well, for one thing, it's very, very contagious. And for another thing, this is a pandemic. It's everywhere. So your likelihood of getting it is greater. But, it could be that sometimes we overreact to things. The important thing is that we sit down and we try to analyze it logically. That's what's been done. That's what the task force is there for. That's why we consult with multiple experts around the country at various universities and research institutions and try to get the very best data and use that to make recommendations.
Dr. Ben Carson, always good to talk to you. Thank you very much, Secretary of Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So, no more videos, no more articles, right? But this is basically now a setup for the lesson. So the question I'm asking, why are they doing all this? There was no big hoorah or, shutdown in 2017, 2018 when 61,000 people died. 61,000 people died. Right? But now we in the last, this morning was 19,000 now in New York. The United States, excuse me. United States alone, we have thus far the final number, or not the final number, but the latest number, and this was 40 minutes ago update. The number around the world is 107,775 people, and in the United States, 20,294 people have passed for the coronavirus. But in 2019, 61,000 people died from the flu season that year because it was a high flu season. Okay, so it's all propaganda. It's all trying to scare the people with the same data. It's like take the same data or the same event and just use the media to hyperlize it. It's like this. I think 500,000 people die every year at a car accident. So let's say you get 24-hour footage of every car wreck, every bumper hit, bumper hit, every car accident, every day for 24 hours. You think it's a car accident epidemic. You'll be too scared to go in your car and drive. So it's what they report. It would matter. It's what psychologically give the people in regards to what to do and what not to do. But let's give a biblical answer. What's the purpose of all this? So let's go to Revelation chapter 13, verse 1. I'm going to set the stage. Now, I kind of color coordinate the different beasts mentioned. So the first beast, which is Rome, I did a scarlet or red color. The dragon is the devil, and I put him in a darker red color. And then the beast, which is the United States of America, I put red, white, and blue, and I kind of repeated that pattern for you to understand when the beast is talking about, when it mentions the beast and it's talking about America, and it mentions the beast and it's talking about Rome. Okay, so let's start from on top.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 1.
And anytime you see the yellow, is referring to us, or the church, or the Most High. Go ahead, Deacon. I'm sorry.
Verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power.
So the dragon is the devil. Now to prove that, Bishop Yatazakwa, if you could go to Revelation 20. Verse 1, if you don't mind.
Okay, this is the book of Revelation, chapter 20, verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit, and a great chain in his hand. Verse 2. And he laid hold on the dragon.
On the what?
On the dragon.
The dragon, who is who?
That old serpent, which is the devil.
Which is the devil. So anytime you see the word dragon in the book of Revelation, it's not talking about the devil's governmental system or kingdom. It's actually talking about the devil. When you hear the word the beast, it's actually talking about a system, like a government. Okay? So thank you, Deacon. Bishop. Yeah, keep reading.
Verse 3.
No,
And I
no,
saw.
I'm sorry. Finish reading verse 2, Bishop. In Revelation 20.
And Satan and bound him 1,000 years. Verse 3. And cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nation no more.
So he would deceive the nation no more, meaning the devil, which is called the dragon, is called Satan, and it has these different names. So to show you that when it's referring to the dragon, so the dragon gave the power to Rome. Okay, so Deacon, go back to Revelation 13.
Revelation chapter 13, verse 3. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. And
why did the dragon, which is the devil, gave power to the beast, which is Rome? Because Rome worships Satan, Jupiter, Zeus. When you look at these names, Jupiter or Zeus is in Latin, classical Latin, it's pronounced Yahweh or Yahweh. Okay, the elders and myself, we have done plenty of lessons to show you that the name Jehovah or Javelin or all these variations of the same name, the Tetragrammaton, is actually Lucifer. Okay, that's why it's the name of a man. Now, the word man in the Bible, sometimes it's talking about, there's two Hebrew words for the word man. It's Adam, which means, from the earth, or you have Ish, which also means, or Ish, which also means a being, a life force. Is the number of a life force. That's when it says, when it says, this is the man that shake, matter of fact, Bishop, let's go there real quick. Let's go Isaiah, I think 14. You know what I want. Is this the man? 14, and let me get it real quick. When it says, is this the man that shake nation? You could start verse 14 and 12. Isaiah, Bishop. Okay? 14 and 12.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Verse 13. But thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of power. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north.
So what Satan is trying to do is, he's got cast down from heaven. He's trying to establish his version of heaven here on earth. His kingdom. Right? Read.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble?
Is this the man? So when you look at that word man, yes, Satan has been cast down, but the spirit needs a host. Now, whoever he's possessing, it may be the Pope. I don't think it's the actual Pope. I think it's the Black Pope from the Jesuits. I believe whoever that guy is, that's Satan. But Satan himself is a spirit. Or it could be someone else that we may not even suspect. Because when we do find out who he is or which body he's hosting, we're going to be like, is this the guy? Is this the man now, Bishop? If you don't mind, give me the strong concordance for the word man there.
Khan. Okay, the word man is ish, H376.
You see
That's
that word there is not the word Adam, which is the Hebrew word for man. It's interchangeable. You could either call a person. You could translate the word Adam either into man or Adam. Okay, because that's why when it says I'm a son of man, it's saying I'm a son of Adam. I'm not a son of Cain or the son of Lucifer or the son of Satan. So if you're a son of Adam, okay, that means, okay, that you are a direct descendant from your father Adam, your earthly father. Okay, but if you're something else, and let me just make a correction, in regards to, I know there's sometimes rumors or doctrines going out there that Satan also had a son with Eve, and that was Cain. There's no scripture that says that. However, the reason why they associate the sin that Eve did with fornication or lust is because she went outside of her husband and took advice and direction from another being outside of her husband. And that is spiritual fornication. But they didn't lay down. There's no scripture that we have, come across. There's a lot of commentary in the Talmud and the Midrash and all that. But right now we have to find more evidence than that, because there is, sometimes the Talmud is just Jewish fable. Okay, we have to go in what the scripture says. And the scripture says Adam knew Eve and they conceived Cain, and after that, Abel. We're going to go with that. Okay, so, but you could be spiritually the son of Satan if you follow his lust and his desires and what he wants you to do. But if you want to become a son of God, you follow what God says, what the Most High, the great I am, instructed us in the scripture to do, right, or to live by. So the choice is ours. The same choice was given to Cain in the book of Genesis. Okay, so let's hold that. Okay, and let's go back to Revelation, right? Revelation 13. Deacon, if you could continue.
Revelations 13, the rest of verse 3. And his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast.
So when you look at Rome was never really able to achieve full world domination through their pagan means, because the number one thing, it was infighting. You got September Severus, he wounded the Roman Empire for a few years. You had also infighting with the different Caesars and different Roman areas that one person was saying, I'm the rightful heir, and another person said, I'm the rightful heir, and never was able to, although it was the greatest empire in ancient time, it never really achieved its world domination. Then they defined themselves through the Roman Catholic Church, and then they tried to control the world through religion. But what happened is that the church, the real church, okay, that they view the Protestant church. Now, the word Protestant means just protester. Now, I'm not talking about the Protestant church today, but the original church, they deemed the Protestant church, the protesters, these were the people that was holding on to the scriptures and did not give the respect and power to the Roman Empire. So when the people like King James, who ordained the King James Version Bible, what we all read today, that was something against the decree of the Roman Pope in regards that you could only translate the Bible into Latin, hence the Latin Vulgate. That was the only acceptable language and the only version that was acceptable. It was from the bottom to the from the top, to the bottom, meaning we tell you what to do and you follow. And the Roman Empire, when they redefined themselves during the time of what's his name, Constantine, and all the way until the Borgias. Okay, when they kind of like got rid of all the protesters, if you will, they was able to control at least their region. But what happened? 3 rebelled of the 10 horns, and they began to do their own thing in fighting, going into America and creating the small horn or the other beast that came out of those 3. That you could find that revelation or that understanding in the book of Daniel chapter 7, right? So let's continue reading.
Verse 4. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast.
So
and
who's they? Who's they? The Roman citizens worship Satan, which gave power to the Roman Empire. But you can understand in layman's term. Read.
And they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?
Right, because this is a governmental system. Who could go against the Roman Empire? And that's why they follow the rules and regulations of which came down from the Caesars. You got to worship this God on this day. You got to worship that God on this day. The ancient world, the ancient Roman world, was very superstitious. They had a God for every day of the week. Right? Keep reading.
Verse 5. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things in blasphemy, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. Right.
So the great power and the great blasphemy is that when they begin to establish the Roman Catholic Church, they begin to blaspheme or lie against the Most High, his people, his Son, the Holy Spirit. They begin to lie on this book. Keep reading.
Verse 6. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against the Most High, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven.
Yeah, so we were worshiping Yahweh when we were pagan. We're going to continue worshiping Yahweh after we become so-called Roman Catholics. Zeus, Yahweh, Jupiter. Yeah, this all goes back to the same name, right? Keep reading.
Verse 7. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints. And
now the saints were the Christians and the Jews in 70 AD. Read.
And to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world.
We're still dealing with ancient Rome, right? We're still dealing with Catholic Rome, the universal Roman Catholic Church. The word Catholic means universal, right? We're not dealing with America yet. Let's keep reading.
Verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity.
So what is Christ telling the church? They're going to come take you. That's why Christ was telling the Christians, when you see Jerusalem compressed with army, get out. And we are slowly approaching that time with this country. Because you need to understand, Jerusalem was a commonwealth of Rome. Jerusalem was property and territory of Rome.
Mm-hmm.
So when Christ was telling them, get out of Jerusalem, when you see Jerusalem compressed with army, he was telling them, get out of the Roman world. Because the beast is coming down and it's going to kill you, prosecute you. Right? Keep reading. So we're still dealing with Rome. We haven't dealt with America yet. So I want you guys to kind of, go with me with this journey, right? Let's read.
He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
So he was telling that to the the Israelites that were in the 7 churches at that time. Right? Next slide.
Verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth.
Now, this other beast is America. You see that? This is now the first time that it's talking about America. And let's see what America is doing. Read.
And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake.
It's a 2 horn is talking about several things. You know, is that balance between the Republican and Democrats. You when you look at, because these are the 2 parties that are really controlling the United States of America. You got to be with them, blue or red. Okay, keep reading.
And he spake as a dragon, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him.
So this guy, the new beast, he spoke the same thing that the old beast was teaching. They were teaching. So the same religious institution that came down from Europe, okay, these Christian churches and things of that nature, regardless whether they call them some Protestants or Lutherans and all that, they are teaching the same thing. Right? Read.
And causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast.
So now, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Deacon.
Whose deadly wound was healed.
All right. So he caused the earth to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Right? When you look at the deadly wound and things of that nature, it started in the time of September Severus, but it didn't get 100% wound or healed until the Bogiers. Right? Keep reading.
Verse 13. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
Now you notice this beast, which is America, got associated with great wonders and fire coming down from earth. The ancient Roman world was not able to do that. Why? Because they did not have nuclear capabilities. So the new dragon, which received power from the new beast, which was given power by the dragon and made the world to worship the first beast, which is Rome. Okay, how are they doing that? I want to come back all around with this coronavirus thing, right? Because, listen, as for me, I don't care what they do. I'm not taking any tests. I'm not taking any antiviral tests, to see if I ever had it. I'm not taking anything, any vaccination. They better kill me. I'm ready to tell my family, if it comes to that, we're going to die before we take anything. We're fine. We're good. I'm going to tell you why that is in a minute. Keep reading.
Verse 14. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast.
Now, what are those miracles? Let's look at that. Right? He could throw fire, comes out of the earth, nuclear destruction. But what is this? These miracles. He could deceive the world by these miracles that he shows the people. Those miracles or those false prophecies is the news media. There's a corona coming down. Shut everything down. So it's not only dealing with religion, it's dealing with the beast system. Religion, media, propaganda, all of it is part of it. They're also part of the false prophet. Because what do you go to the news to get? News. To predict what's going on for the weather. They could tell you what's going on tomorrow in the weather. You should, make sure it's going to be cool in the morning, but cold in the evening. It's going to, take a light jacket, take an umbrella. It's going to rain tomorrow. That's prophecy. The CDC estimate over 500,000 people dying from some few strain. That's prophecy. Al-Qaeda is in the loose. Watch out for them. Those are the wonders. Television. What's the word television? The etymology of the word television. Tell a vision. Tell you a vision. These are the false prophets that we have to also address. It's not only dealing with religion. Keep reading, Deacon.
The rest of 14. Saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live.
So how is the second beast is telling the earth, we're going to make an image. And I want everybody to worship the first beast through religion. Easter, Christmas, all these pagan holidays, when you go back, it goes back to the original pagan tradition. And it's open now. Everybody knows. December 25th was a holiday that the pagan Romans used to follow. But now we Christianized it. Yeah, Easter was winter solstice and the spring and all that, and things of that nature, all dealing with Roman traditions. But we Christianized it. We took over it and put Christ on top of it. We had ordained it. Okay, so when you look into, what is the image? The image is religion. Right? Keep reading.
Verse 15. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
Now we're going into the connection between the coronavirus. Because now they're talking about when we open up, we have to find out who's been infected. Who are the people that had it and don't know they had it? So when it comes back next year, they don't infect their children and their grandparents. Because we have to protect the children and grandpa and grandma. And what they do it is, in China, they're putting a thing in your head and they take a snippet of your blood, test it, and they could see whether you've been infected. In America, they're now coming up with some that they will prick your finger, and that's going to be next. We're going to go into next, week lesson. We're going to go more into that. That's how, and that's what Bill Gates. That's where this guy, the Dr. Fauci, is talking about. That before the summer is out, okay, they want to test everybody. This is my theory and my precaution, and this is the reason why I'm not even getting tested to see if I ever had it. Why? You notice that they've been pumping for the few years this chip. Europe is already doing it. They already put the mark, in your hand. People may see that, the mark of the beast is that it is as small as a grain of rice, right? So we thinking that's the mark of the beast. But what if the actual testing in is the mark of the beast, but they're not telling you? It's called nanotechnology. They have created technology now of chips so small is 100 times smaller than a rice. So is it possible? Now, I'm not saying this is what it is. Is it possible that they're putting the nano chip that you cannot see, that it's 100 times smaller than a rice chip, what you usually see already all over to the media? You can find mad sources, mad video, actually people putting the chip on them, right? And then it hurt. It's fine. I could just wipe my hand and or wave my hand, and I could open doors, and I could pay for my laundry, and for my whatever my food, my restaurant. I could just just swipe my. It's convenient, right? We thinking that's what it is, and that may be ultimately it. But what nanotechnology, if any, I could be wrong, they're putting in these so-called testing is going on your finger or your forehead. That's why I'm not taking none of it. Keep all that crap away from me and my children. You're going to have to kill me. So, keep reading. Because now, he's going to make the people worship the image of the first beast. America created an image of Rome, and he's forcing people to worship this image of Rome. And how he's going to do it, let's read it.
Verse 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads.
Bill Gates is talking about we have to test 7 billion people. You know how long that's going to take? You know how chaotic situation is going to exist? And we live in a world that everybody has to be tested to see if they had it. 7 billion people. And we're talking about now, we even getting reports that even nurses now are saying that they got to get tested. If they don't get tested, they cannot go back to work. People are going to be able to lose their job. So think of a world, right? If you want to go to the gym, you got to show ID. If you want to go into back to work, you got to show ID. Yeah, I've been tested. If you want to go, to the movies, yeah, I've been tested. If you want to go into the baseball game, what's your ID, sir? That you've been vaccinated or you've been tested. Are they going to put, are they going to set up high risk areas? Or you in high risk, you're level 3, so this is your section. Oh, you're level 2, you're fine here. Level 1, you go over here. I always tell people, be ready for everything because Satan is a worthy adversary. You think he's coming this way, he may be going that way. So we thinking it's going to be the chip, but the chip could be in the finger. And then you're just pricking your finger just to see, it's like a pregnancy test, positive, negative, Everything's fine. They're just taking a little blood. You should check it. It's easy now. And now it's even easier because the first test, they're putting a big tube up your nose, scratching your brain, and it's very inconvenient. And, and it's, you don't want a long stick the size of your pen going up your nose. So this time it's just a little prick. It's easy. 15 minutes or less. So two things. They're taking your blood. Think about this precedent. They will have a sample of every single person who lives going forward on the blood type. That itself is concerning. This is not the mark of the beast. That itself is concerning. That's why I'm not taking it. But we also have to look at nanotechnology and what else they're putting in there. And that little needle is harmless. It's a little prick. It's just a little cut. And when you look at the word mark of the beast, the word mark there is what? A gash of the skin. That's why I'm not trusting none of it. Like I said, Elder made it clear that we are not a health, we're not doctors here. We're not telling you what to do or what not to do. And everybody has to do what's best for their family. Okay. And if it's a situation that, you get called, you say, yeah, I want to get tested, things of that nature. You have to read and make sure you look at all your legal rights and things of that nature. And we'll support you and whatever route you want to go. But I'm not touching anything. I'm not taking anything associated with coronavirus. All I'm taking is food, water, and my vitamins. That's it. And taking some sun in. Okay? So let's keep reading.
Verse 17. And that no man might buy or sell save that he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
So here's wisdom. Why did Christ tell them, pay attention? Because every time you hear the word, here's wisdom, he's trying to tell us something. Meaning, look, what he's telling us is anything associated with that number 666 is the mark of the beast. Let's go to the next slide. That's why I'm not taking the corona. And that's exactly what I want to tell the doctors or the officials. Listen, I'm a Christian. I looked at the corona and I looked at the numbers and the in regards tied in into everything is connected to a number. And because I'm concerned, and I apologize if you guys hit the music. I hear it outside because I'm in the Bronx. You know how it is out here. If my concern, what I'm going to be telling them is, I don't know if this is 666. This is the mark of the beast mentioned in the Bible. And me being a Christian, I cannot take this. This goes against my religious belief. This is what I want to tell people. So, and Deacon, I think that was the last slide, correct?
I'm at Revelations 13 and 18.
Okay, no, but I think you show. Okay, so are you going back, or you got more slides? We have to finish off.
Yeah, that's the last slide.
Yeah, that was the last slide. Okay, so we could get out of that. We could just take out the slide. Okay, outstanding. Okay, so every week we're gonna come on, with you guys and just linked up with you guys and go into lessons and things that you're dealing with what's going on today. If you miss Elder Rawchaa, please go back and follow up. He's actually is he still on? I think he just got off. Let me find out. Yeah, I think he's off. He just got off. Okay, so keep informed with the body. And make sure that you log in every Saturday, those that are in New York and also in New Jersey, Connecticut, Boston, and upstate as well, okay? Now, I want to end with this, okay? Don't believe none of it. Don't trust none of it. Now, when you have people that are in the thick of it, like those that are in the health industry, okay, we have to have a serious conversation, because it looks like the people that are also in a higher risk as well is people that are in these positions, like the hospitals and the correction officers and the police officers and the first responders, the DMT workers. These are the people that their livelihood may be affected over this. And if you're in that type of situation, let's have a conversation. We'll come up with a game plan, because I don't like to put one size fit all scenario. We have to look at your case and see what we could do in dealing with your case. So if there's an issue, contact to your local deacon officers, and they'll contact me. We'll come up with a game plan and try to give you the best advice. But that's all we could do. We can't do creativity, because this is your life and this is your situation, and we can just give you the best information what we have. But you have to, of course, we're going to pray and fast and make sure that the Most High could change even minds, because I've seen that too. The Most High may just change your supervisor's mind, or say, listen, you don't have to do it, it's fine. I have seen that happen too. And these are times that we're going to need the most time to get linked up with the Father and things of that nature. We're also going to be doing national fasting for the church. We're all fasting together. We're going to be setting up, so we are just keeping in linked with the classes, but you could be up to date with what the body's doing, because there's strength in numbers. Okay, so with that, I'm going to conclude the lesson. This is kind of like an introduction of this. This is the first time me doing this, so I have to kind of get used to it as well. And the deacons and bishops are going to be helping me in things of that nature. Sometimes it may be just me and Aaron. It may be sometimes Jethazakwa and Aaron. It may be me and Jethazakwa. So, Deacon Shamar, I know he's actually working overtime, and also talking about Deacon Shamar. The brother's working, and he told me that when all this coronavirus hit in March, he got sent home. They spent all contracts, and then all of a sudden, about 2 weeks ago, they called him back to go to work, and he has never been busier than ever before. And the reason why is because his company just got a contract to build 5 new hospitals. Mm-hmm. What are they building these hospitals for? Are they getting ready for the next pandemic, so-called? Are they gonna try to, botch the numbers? Or is this the reason why they were spreading these chemicals? Because these things, they stay in dormant, and who knows when they could be activated. So you could have something now that you breathe in, right? And it won't be activated until next year. But guess what, folks? They could go to Mark chapter 16. And once again, my apology for the noise. I'm in the city, downtown. I'm in the Bronx, boogie down. Music is I bet you that brother's music is the station, or the music radio that he put on this car is probably more expensive than the car itself. You know how it is. Yeah. But anyway, all right. So let's read the book of Mark, chapter 16, and let's see if you actually have faith on this. This is what the Christ said. Let's read 16, verse 9.
This is the book of Mark, chapter 16, verse 9.
Now we start at verse 14.
Verse 14. Afterward, he appeared unto the 11 as they sat at meat, and upbraided them with their unbelief and hardness of heart, because they believed not them which had seen him after he was risen. And he said unto them, Go ye into all the world, and preach the gospel to every creature. He that believeth and is baptized shall be saved, and he that believeth not shall be damned. And these signs shall follow them that believe. In my name shall they cast out devils. They shall speak with new tongues. They will
cast out devils, and they will speak with new tongues. Read.
They shall take up serpents, and if they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them.
So let's just say you're in a situation that you, through your ignorance, didn't know any better. If you pray and fast, the Most High will heal you. Okay, read.
Verse 18. They shall take up serpents, and if they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover.
Okay, so this is the sign that will follow the true followers of the Most High in Christ. Mm-hmm. And we are preaching it in the gospel. So don't worry what's going on around you. Don't worry about what's going on in the news. Let's focus and let's rip this thing up and spread the gospel to the whole world before the end comes. So this thing is motivating me not to go flee America, but to open up new churches, not only in America, but the entire world. Why? Because that's the only thing we have to worry about is establish the kingdom here on earth. The kingdom of heaven is in you. And if along the way, some of us may pass away, some of us, you see heresy, just listen, let the elders deal with that. You have to be straightforward. So going forward, what we're going to be doing is establishing certain things here online. And yes, the elders and I and the guys that we've been talking, we're going to be establishing certain parts. We're going to go to South America and actually purchasing or leasing land for safe haven We're talking about also maybe leasing certain lands in the United States, certain parts of the United States as safe haven that we could utilize for maybe feast days, but also safe haven, emergency exit area. We're going to be setting up learning. We're going to educate everybody how to learn following a map. You know, we're so used to, you know, this phone here, okay, and that, you know, MapQuest, but we got to learn how to use a map when this thing is when this thing is off, it's no longer working. Okay, so we're going to be training the congregation. So this is more the first labor pains of the church, and I'm glad for this. This is, you know, we were made for this. And now we could say, okay, we have to know, we have to get ready, because if this was the one, we were not ready. And the Most High said, I'm just giving you a little shock. I'm just shaking the tree a little bit to just expose who's gonna panic, because we're looking into that too. That's why you should be very careful what video you put out when you had a bad day from work, or you're panicking and, you know, I'm here, I'm brother so-and-so, I'm in the hospital. You know what they're doing, brother? I'm out of here. Now, yeah, report that and leave that to us and keep us informed. But don't be online talking about the devil and I'm going to do this. You know, 2 weeks ago, I had to talk to a brother because he had a gun, holding a gun and talking about, this is what I got for the people that come against the Most High's people. So what this is showing us, who's weak among the church, who doesn't have faith among the church, who's going to panic when the real one hits. No one has died. You have not resisted unto death or unto blood, as the scripture says. And you're already panicking. And that's why, sisters, be careful. And what do you say and who you say it to? Be careful what you post online, because sometimes sisters, they get involved with their emotions, but brothers too. But sisters, be careful in what you do when you're in a situation that you're panicking, you're scared, and you pray. Stop everything and pray to the Most High, and lean towards that, the Most High, for you to be calm and collective, for you to make right decision and seek proper counsel, because there is safety in multitude of counsel. Mm-hmm. And this, advice is not only for the brothers, but also for the sisters. Okay, I mean for sisters and brothers, right? So with that, this concludes the lesson. I don't want to go on too long and things of that nature. This is basically, trying to show you that they're trying to implement. America, the second beast, is trying to implement the image and the lifestyle of the first beast. That's why they're trying to connect us to a lifestyle of a Roman. Let me explain what I'm saying. And we're going to go into much lessons in regards of what was the lifestyle of a Roman. If you was a Roman citizen today, back in the days, you could take a time machine, you could go back to Rome. A slave, okay, well, let me backtrack. Freedom was not a privilege, was a right. Was not a right, was a privilege, excuse me. So just because you was born in Rome, and you was not automatically free. It all depends what family you were born into, or what situation you were born into. But 9 times out of 10, if you was not part of the elite, you was automatically considered not a citizen. And if you're not a citizen of the Roman Empire, which is a citizenship you have to earn. So most Roman citizens or Romans people were not Roman citizens. If you were not a Roman citizen, you was a slave. And for you to travel, or you was what you consider a second-class citizen. That's a better word. A second-class citizen in Rome, you didn't have freedom to travel. You always needed permission from your master, whoever is over you, your boss, to travel. So let's look at this. Are they trying to reintroduce that lifestyle, that freedom is not a privilege, is a right because of this coronavirus? Because we don't know if you have it, sir. You cannot, have you been tested, sir? No. Or you cannot come in, sir, man. Because in Rome, well, you needed papers. I got my papers. They usually identify you by certain hats and things of that nature. And I'm going to be doing some more lessons, maybe next week or the week after, that there was an idea of identifying slaves through their hats. And the reason why the Roman elite decided to walk away from that is because they did not want the slave with their hats to identify themselves and relate with one another, okay, and come together against the minority elite. Because this is an action in their writings, because they realized there were more slaves than actually Roman citizens in the Roman world. You guys knew that? The word citizen, Roman citizen, was a rare thing. You was with the in crowd. You had to earn that. So now we're seeing, and I hope you guys connecting the dots, and why they're promoting this. You got your ID, you got tested because of this boogeyman that is nobody knows where it came from, called coronavirus. The coronavirus that grammatically when you line up the numbers, it goes to 666. Is that the beginning of the mark of the beast? Or is that exactly the mark of the beast? That's why I'm not taking none of it. I'm not taking any part of it. I'm not saying, well, let me just test it now, because that's not the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is coming later. And I may be 100% in with that assessment, but I'm not taking the risk. Touch not the unclean thing. Touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, say the Lord. Mm-hmm. Be ye holy, for I am holy. I can't touch that. It's against my religion. Or you override your religion. Do what you got to do. Let's go. I'm not touching that. I'm not taking that. I'm being respectful, but that goes against my religion. And it doesn't matter to you, but it matters to me. So let's get it on. What we're going to do? You're going to let me on my way, or there's going to be something else? That's just me. But I'm crazy that way. But my advice to folks, do your research. Don't panic. Have faith. Because even if I end up in that situation, I'm going to be like, whatever it is, as long as the Most High said, good work, Gabar. Get in. You're in. I want that. I want those papers. Those citizens, having citizen papers. That's what I want. I don't want Roman citizen papers. They could keep that. Okay, so I'm going to yield with that, because I could be all day, be revved up, be long-winded with this. So deacons and bishops, anything you guys want to add?
Just want to, say great information about our elder, and I pray that everybody's, as the elder said, being prayed up, and if you could fast as well during this time, it'll be good. We definitely gotta stay focused, because there's a lot of distraction, social media, it's a mess. So personally, don't look at the news. If you could just focus, read scriptures, go over. If you was in an academy, go over the academy information, go over, tons of lessons that elders brought out, review those lessons instead of looking at the news. Because if you look at the news, you're going to get a lot of different, stories and different feedbacks. It's just going to confuse you. So, and also, if you notice, the rhetoric is changing. You notice it's like everything is kind of calming down now. They can anticipate a breakthrough, or there might be a possible cure. It's a bunch of stuff, but is things is calming down. Eventually, you're gonna see that the tides change. So it's a wake up call. Stay focused, and get stronger, because this is just the beginning. All right, Rawchaa family.
And I want to land me back on something that the elder brought out in terms of, not putting all this information out there that everyone you speak to. And just to give you some insight on what I do, I'm more about data gathering, right? Because I don't necessarily need to tell you what my disposition is. I'm more trying to find out where's your faith, right? Because at the end of the day, Christ said, make friends with the mammon, right? So I need to know how close are my family, which one of my family members or friends or associates am I at more risk to, you know what I mean? They could turn me in because, Aaron was talking all this, don't take this and don't do that. And this is this. I'm just very careful with who I say what to. And I'm just data gathering, right? I throw little things out there to my family just to see how they respond. I'm like, oh, okay. And I don't debate, I don't argue. I just take the information in. And I understand. I said, all right, I kind of see where they're at with faith. And maybe Most High willing, he'll give me the understanding and the wisdom on how to minister to them where they're at, but not giving them information, because eventually it's going to be, it's going to be your own family. It's going to be, hey, I love my grandkids and my nieces and my nephews, and Aaron and Shayla, they're not going to get them vaccinated. So I got to call and turn them in, right? Because they got to get tested. What's going to happen? So our family members and friends, they're going to be forced into those type of situations, right? And it's going to put us into it. So we got to use wisdom. And I guess I'll leave it with that. Isaiah 33:6, wisdom and knowledge will be the stability of our time, right? And the safest thing is the gospel, right? That's the safest thing, right? So I'll yield on that.
Profound statement, Deacon. Yeah, it's the same way like this. When we first started the church, right? I always used to tell people, if you want to introduce this information, don't start with we got to flee because America's going to burn with fire. Don't start with that.
Right.
Start with the Sabbath. Now I'm telling them, don't even start with the Sabbath. Start with you. Don't tell people what you're doing. You show people what you're doing through your example, and let them ask you a question. What you into now? Because you're talking different, you're acting different, you're dressing different.
Mm-hmm.
You're not doing the same thing you used to do. And then you could explain. It's because of Christ, our Lord and Savior. I want to be like him. He kept the law, I keep the law. He's the way, the truth, the life.
Exactly.
So even now, don't think that, and that's profound, Deacon, that most people think that if the church is going to believe, if my family is going to believe me, they're going to believe me now, because look what's happening. Right. And you're going to come with the mark of the beast. You're going to come with, G5 or 5G. You're going to come with the corona. Look at 666. Don't start with that, because they're going to think you're crazy and report you. If you want to start with something, call them and say, do you need some water? Are you good with food? Anything you need? Mom, dad, sister, brother. Start with love. Can I pray for you? Can we just pray? And let your fruit speak for yourself. And then once they start, if the Spirit moves on them, and then you have, some opportunity to say, you know what, let me bring you into the church, then we could have a conversation. And with that being said, we're going to go into the announcement in a few minutes, but one thing we're going to emphasize, do not forward this information to nobody, including your family you're trying to convert. We're going to have something for them, because Aaron is coming with some ideas, and we're going to have something, maybe something separate for new beginners. But this is for us. The members that have been loyal, the members that have been with us, the members that we know. So we're going to need you to help us with that. Okay, so let's bring the announcement. I think Sister Shayla's going to come in.
Yep.
Okay, and we could go to the announcements, and we go pray out, and then we'll continue this next week. see people in the chat room. I see Sister Hadassah, Shalom sister. I see, let's see who I see. I think I saw my daughter, Rebecca Rodriguez. She's there. Let's see, Brother James. I think that's Julia Rivera. Okay. Sister Barbara. All right. Okay. Shalom, 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 everybody. Okay. All praises. So at this point, we're going to do the announcements. And Sister Shayla, the floor is yours.
All right. Shabbat shalom. Can you hear me?
You're coming in loud and clear.
Okay. Shabbat shalom, everyone. My name is Sister Shayla, and I'll be providing the announcements today for the Gathering of Christ Church in the Northeast region. If anyone has any inquiries or announcements, please send an email to GOCC nycevents@yahoo.com. Excuse me. Or you can reach out to leadership in your respective areas. Now for the announcements. Classes and meetings. Until further notice, this is the format for our Shabbat class. The link for the lesson will be emailed to all active baptized members each week. As a reminder, the link should not be shared with anyone for any reason, whether a baptized member or a non-baptized person. If you are found to be link sharing, you are subject to disciplinary action by the elders. If there is someone who does not have the link and would like to view the class, they must contact the following in leadership. In the Bronx and Manhattan, that would be Michael Jordan. In Queens, Officer Zachariah. Brooklyn, Bishop Yachazakwa. New Jersey, Deacon Aaron. Staten Island, Officers Malachi and Andrell. Upstate New York, you will contact Officer Greg. Long Island, Connecticut, and Boston, you'll contact Officer Ganon. In addition, if anyone is in need of supplies, you can contact leadership in your corresponding areas as well. Counseling sessions. As per Elder Gabar, there are no further marriage counsels with couples excuse me, unless there is an emergency such as violence, drug abuse, and infidelity. As it pertains to infidelity, you must be able to provide proof, not what you think or what you suspect, but substantial evidence to support your claim. This approach has been implemented to encourage married couples to resolve marital issues on their own without the dependency of Elder Gabar or leadership. However, if a brother has a question about his family or is dealing with a certain matter and needs some direction or a second opinion, he is free to reach out to Elder Gabar to discuss the matter by scheduling an appointment. This can be done by emailing GOCC nycevents@yahoo.com or calling 646-281-4443. The hours for counseling with Elder Gabar will be from 8:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. So please schedule your appointment within those hours. Brothers can also reach out to Deacon Shamal, who is available on Sundays from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m., Monday through Friday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. He can be reached at 646-250-4067, or Deacon Aaron, available Sunday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. He can be reached at 917-541-5880. Sisters, you can reach out to Deaconesses Shirley or Patricia. They are available Sunday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. If they do not respond immediately, they will call you back. Sister Shirley can be reached at 646-709-5684, and Sister Patricia can be reached at 917-833-4860. We kindly ask that unless it is an absolute emergency, that you please be mindful of the aforementioned times of availability of leadership. Tithes and offerings, excuse me a moment. Tithes and offerings. You can send your tithes and offerings through Cash App, which is going across the screen, Gather 144, G.O.C.C, or you can visit gatheringofchrist.org and click on the Donate tab to complete your transaction by credit or debit card, a check, or PayPal. With all donations, please indicate which body you are a part of. Feast days. The upcoming Feast of First Fruits begins Saturday, May 9th at sundown to Sunday, May 10th at sundown. Be mindful that this is a double Shabbat. At this time, please prepare to keep the feast in your homes, given the current world status. As there are changes, any church gatherings will be announced by leadership. Leadership also advises that you please comply with the laws set in your home state with regards to gatherings. Blog Talk Radio. Search Engine International. Please support our G.O.C.C radio shows on Blog Talk. In addition to the Search Engine International show with the elders, which officially airs on Wednesday evenings, we should all be aware that Elder Rawchaa will be going on live multiple times throughout the week as the Most High allows and the Spirit moves. Last week, the Daughters of Zion radio show returned with our beloved Sister Shirley and Carol. And this coming Monday at 7 p.m., they have a show with a special guest that you do not want to miss. And Friday evenings, we can listen to Coming Out of Babylon with Elder Rawchaa. You can listen to the G.O.C.C blog talk shows by dialing in at 515-605-9327. And you can listen and view the Search Engine International with the elders by calling in or by viewing on YouTube. The channel is A Gathering 144. Lastly, family, please periodically check your YouTube channel subscriptions. Unfortunately, YouTube has been randomly removing subscriptions off of accounts for our people. So please make sure that your notifications are turned on and that you are subscribed to A Gathering 144, which is Elder Rawchaa's channel, and our very own New York channel, which is G.O.C.C NYC. This concludes the announcements. If you have missed any of the information or need clarity, please feel free to send an email to GOCCNYCevents@yahoo.com, and someone will respond to you promptly. Shalom, be safe, and may the Most High bless you all.
Thank you, Sister Shayla, for the announcements. And just reiterate on the importance not to share the link with anybody. If we find out you're doing it, we're going to have to remove you. It will be an automatically 3-month suspension, and we don't want to go through that. Sometimes in life, you're either a shepherd or a sheep. Sometimes you just got to listen and obey. And this time is that time. We don't need any independent thinkers right now. We need people to follow, because these things are set up for our protection. We don't want these videos to be going out. These are private videos. This is for us and things of that nature. If somebody missed it because they're at work or something, have them call me. These things are all recorded and things of that nature, but really this is only for us. So if you missed it, we could have a conversation why you missed it. But really, if you've already been pre-selected to be in the lessons. Now, the people that have been, before this thing started, the people that have been suspended, the people that have been unresolved issues, the people that did not make it on the list for whatever reason, they're going to have to wait. They don't have access to this, or they should not have access to this. Because what we also are showing and said that you cannot take this church for granted if you've been a person who's been constantly a troublemaker, been suspended, been written up. There's always issues. The doors may one day be ultimately closed. Let me give you an example. Let's say somebody's been suspended for 6 months, but in 5.5 months from now, we're leaving. And you suspended, so you're 2 weeks short of your suspension, and God forbid something happens and we have to be up out of here in 5 months or 5.5 months. So if you would never have messed up a month ago or 5 or 6 months ago, or whatever time before this thing happened. And when things are moving, the only people we're going to move with is the people that are in the list. We're going to have to resolve those issues, those people that are outside the list later, if we could get to it. So folks, sometimes you're a shepherd and sometimes you're a sheep. Just be a sheep. Follow the directions. Don't add or take away. We got you. If somebody didn't get the email, we'll do it out. We'll control it, because what we don't want is like this. You may send the list of somebody that we think has the list, but they got it from you and we don't have the updated email. So we think if we send it to brother so-and-so or sister so-and-so, they will call you thinking, well, I didn't get it. Okay, sister, well, I know you're in the list, and then maybe we're on the list. But because they didn't get we need to know who's not getting the email. Get it? That's why they have to go through leadership. If you didn't get it, don't call your friend, call your officer. And the officers are not allowed to forward you the email. And we have this meeting on Sunday with all the officers, administration, the secretary, the treasurers, the security, the head of security. No one is allowed to forward this email without the oversight of Deacon Shamar and Deacon Aaron and also Bishop Yetazakwa. Okay? But more important, because Deacon Aaron and Deacon Shamar have been dealing with the people a little more longer than Bishop Yetazakwa, we already had a conversation with Bishop that he has to check with Deacon to make sure, especially in New York, before he forwards everything. Everything has to go through the two deacons. So then, because then everything is above board, because that's the list that we're going to be using. God forbid if something we have to leave in a few months. So everybody has to go to the proper doorsteps. So then there's no mishap, because it could have been a mistake that we did, like we put the wrong email. We offered by one letter or one number. So we're sending you to the wrong email. We need to correct that too. So mistakes do happen. So don't forward the email, because if he or she did not get the email, it's because of reason. They're either not in the list or we're sending the information to the wrong email. That's bad too. So if we don't correct that because we don't know and we thinking, you're forwarding this email, A, you are compromising security, and B, where people are on that we think they're receiving it through our email, but they're receiving it to your forwarding the email. We need to know that. That's why do not forward this email to nobody. If somebody didn't receive it, call the officer. The officer will call the deacon will take care of it. If there's an unforeseen issue for whatever reason, we'll correct it and we can move forward, whatever it is. So if anybody tells you, I'm on the list, I'm good, I'm officer so-and-so, I'm deacon so-and-so, I'm the head of this, or, you know me, man, you know me. No, brother, no, sister. Call your officer or your deacon. If you're in New Jersey, Deacon Aaron is your man. He has to approve it. Not no officer, not Sister Shayla, not the secretary, not the band director, any position. Deacon Aaron is the guy that you have to get the approval if there is a situation you need to be sent an email for whatever reason. And with New York, it will be Deacon Shamar and Bishop Yetazakwa, okay? And things of that nature. So we dropped it. We told you guys. So we're giving you guys fair warning in the event that the opposite happens. Somebody forwards something. We find out, we're going to remove you. We got zero tolerance. And the closer this thing gets to the end, we're going to get more zero toleringist. If that's even a word. There's not going to be rooms for second chances in certain instances. Because when we're moving around the world, we're moving things, there's going to be no time for counsels. Marriage counsels. There's gonna be a time for suspension and counseling, and I gotta assign this officer to you to make sure. No, you're out of here. You're in the way. And I'm not saying nobody's perfect, because I'm not perfect, but keep your nose clean, folks. If you're not sure about something, don't act upon your own wisdom or your understanding. Ask to make sure you don't get caught up with any mess. Then now we have to question whether we should keep you on the list or not. So I love you very much, but please do the right thing here because we're trying to set something up for your security. Okay, so I yield. Deacon, anything else? And Bishop, anything you want to add to that?
Nah, I think you said it all, Elder.
All right. All praises. Bishop?
No, I'm good, Elder. Bless you.
All right. So we're going to end with a prayer. Bishop, you go and lead us in the prayer, and we're going to end the service now.
All right, sisters, make sure your heads are covered. Brothers, make sure your heads are uncovered. Ahaya Asha Ahaya Bahashem Asha Wakadash. Ahaya Asha Ahaya Bahashem Asha Wakadash. Ahaya Asha Ahaya Bahashem Asha Wakadash. O Heavenly Father, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we come before you to this moment, Father, to give you all the glory and the praises, Father. We thank you, Ahaya, for this opportunity to fellowship, Father. We thank you, Ahaya, for the message that was brought out today, Father. We ask you, Ahaya, to bless all the leaders, bless all the elders, bless all the brothers and sisters on this chat, Father. Help us all, Father, to grow spiritually. Help us all to stay focused upon you. Help us all to walk in your spirit and not according to our flesh, Father. Father, please direct our footsteps in the path of righteousness. Help us, Ahaya, to keep your laws, your statutes, and commandments, Father. Father, we pray that we all endure till the end. In no other name of the Son and shall we pray. Let's all pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, holy is thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us for our debts. And lead us not in, and forgive us for our debts. Lead us not into temptation. Our Father, who art in heaven, holy is thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from all evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Amen. All right. Bless you guys. Love you very much. We'll see each other next week. Check in every Saturday at 2:30. And then the rule of thumb will be 3 o'clock unless Elder Rawchaa is making an appointed announcement. And we're going to maybe, and he looks like he's going to end pretty soon. We'll start right after him. If he's going to be long-winded, like 4 or 5 o'clock, then we'll start around 3:15, and we'll play by ear. Just, log in, and we'll tell you what to expect. But going forward, I want to speak to the elder as well to try to synchronize our watches. For then, we don't have to choose between hearing us or him, and we can all just flow together and things like that. So he could give national lesson and also report, and we could give our local lesson and report. Okay, so love you very much. We'll see you next week. Check in if you have any questions with your office and the deacons or myself, and then we'll see Zion, and we will, we'll be together again. We'll be gathering and thing. It looks like, after this weekend, after May, things are gonna get a little more less tight than it is now in regard to these gatherings. So, go outside, get your mask and your thing, but then take a walk. The sun is out. Get your 15-minute walk in the sun, and come back right in. And then you could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You can go out to get your supermarket and things of that nature, and get your food, come back in and get your sun. And also try to not eat your reserves. That's why it's called reserve. So you got your food that lasts you for like 3 to 6 months and things of that nature, and then you go and get your food every day you're going to eat, and that will be your reserve. Okay, but take that time to go outside. It's getting nicer. Like I say, flu cannot survive in warm climate. So the warmer it gets, the safer you be with the virus. But still get all the gloves and all the mask and all that, so you won't bring attention to it. So with that, I yield. Bless you guys. Love you guys, and I'll see you soon. Most I bless.
Shalom.
Shalom.